my channel for another video. I am excited to share this video with you guys today. I've not done a sewing video probably in close to a year, like just a straight sewing video. So I'm going to be doing some sewing today and we'll see how it goes. I'm fairly new at sewing what I am sewing, a dress. So yeah, we'll see how it turns out. But I have a project that I want to get done, so I thought that I will try to share it with you guys and hopefully you enjoy it. So for me, I have never had a dress pattern and I've only made 2 dresses before, and neither one of them I used a pattern. I just kind of, they were like sack dresses. I kind of cut them out, sewed them together. They're not that great. So Nelson's aunt is a really great seamstress, or at least by my standards, a wonderful seamstress. But she does a really good job sewing different things. And so she actually made me a dress pattern for a style of dress that I would like. So now I can sew myself dresses and I'm super excited about it. I see that. You'll have to excuse Zindia. I have her and Kai here with me. They're not napping, and so I have no idea how the video is gonna go, and they probably will be interrupting fairly frequently. But anyways, so I don't have to sew my clothes. I just enjoy sewing clothes, and it's just something fun. And right now with Kai, I am nursing him, so clothes or dresses, I can't really wear anything unless it's nursing friendly, at least dresses wise. And especially for church, nursing friendly dresses are super handy. So I will show you the style or pattern, I guess, of dress that I am making. So this is the first dress that we sewed, I guess. Ellen, my husband's aunt, actually sewed it. It wasn't me. So the style of dress I'm going to be sewing is a maxi dress that has a high empire waist, I guess it's called, and then it also has buttons on it. I love the knit floral fabrics, so I'm doing a lot of knit dresses, floral fabrics, that kind of thing. This is the fabric that I'm going to be using today. It's a really pretty, like, deep red to maroon color, and I love the flowers on it. I think it's going to be perfect for fall and just make a really great fall dress to have. So I'm hoping it turns out good. We'll have to see, but I'm gonna get started cutting it out this morning and kind of show you guys what I do. Before I go any further with cutting out my material or sewing, I wanted to take a moment and say a large thank you to Dossier for partnering with me and working with me on today's video. Dossier is a luxury perfume company that offers perfume at a fraction of the cost of what you typically pay when you're buying from luxury brands. Dossier has a risk-free system that allows you to try your perfume before actually committing to a large bottle of it. Every large 50 milliliter bottle that you buy comes with a small sample that you can try and wear to figure out if you like the scent before you open your large bottle. The large bottles can be returned within 30 days, absolutely no questions asked, as long as they are unopened, and with their little sample bottles, that's perfect. You can give it a try, see if you like it before actually opening a whole bottle, and then you have a whole bottle that sits there that you don't use, and you have money spent on something that you don't care for. Dossier's perfume is super affordable, with each of their bottles being $29 compared to the luxury brands that are $50 to close to $300 sometimes for a bottle of perfume. They have free returns and exchanges. Dossier is constantly coming out with new scents for you to try. They are a vegan and cruelty-free company, which is another great thing. Dossier also has some great sales with up to 25% off discounts, and they also offer free shipping when you buy 3 or more bottles of their perfume. The scent that I tried from Dossier is this Florental Almond. It is a almond peach top notes, middle notes of orange blossom, and base notes of vanilla and cocoa, and it smells so good. I was super excited about this because with sewing a new dress or with anything like that, for me personally, when I'm dressing up or wearing something new, I love to have a great scent to go with it. And so I was super excited about trying out this perfume from Dossier. I really, really love it. So if you guys are interested in trying out some perfume for yourself and you would like to try out Dossier as a company, I definitely recommend them for you guys. I have a link in the description box as well as a discount code where you can use my code to get 10% off of your order with Dossier. I hope you love Dossier as much as I do, and definitely don't forget to check them out after you're done watching this video. Okay, so I'm getting ready to start cutting out my dress. I will show you guys a close-up of kind of what I'm doing. Because this pattern was like a homemade pattern for me, I can't tell you specifically where to get the pattern, but basically what it is it's a long skirt with an empire waist, so a waist that falls right below my chest, and then for the top it's just, I guess, a basic top pattern with a little bit of an extra thing for the buttons. I'll show you guys. And then the sleeves are just basic sleeves, so it's a really basic dress. The first one we sewed, we put a seam down the middle in the back, but that's not necessarily necessary, and that is on the skirt part, not on the top, the bodice, I guess is what it's called if you're being technical. So for this dress, I've sewn another one since I watched my husband's aunt sew the first one. So for this one, I'm not going to be putting a seam in the back just because it's not really necessary, and it turns out fine both ways. So that's just one extra thing I don't have to sew. So right now I have the skirt pattern laying out, and it's laying out on the fold of the fabric, so that way I get like double. This would be like 1/4 of the skirt. So laying it down on the fold is going to give me a half, like the front skirt, and then I'll do that again and it will give me the back. Depending what material you're working with, you may have to be a little bit more careful of how you place things. So with the stripes, hold on, let me show you. Okay, so since I'm working back here with just plain floral, doesn't really matter how I place it, unless I want to be really picky and not want a flower ending here, there, whatever. But with this dress, which is a floral on stripes, I wanted the skirt to be vertical stripes, and I wanted the top and the sleeves to be horizontal stripes, if you can see that. So we had to be more careful about how we cut things out, making sure that we cut them out with the stripes going the right way, so that way I had vertical stripes and horizontal stripes at the top. And I'm also going to be doing a double bodice, I think that's what it's called. Basically where it's lined, you can see here, this is the inside of the dress, but the top part is completely lined. That way I don't have to wear a slip or a tank top or anything underneath, and I don't get any weird lines. So it's kind of a really nice way to do that. And like I said, with these dresses, well, they don't have a zipper in the back because of the buttons in the front. They're knit, so I can pull them over my head, but they're also super great as far as like being nursing friendly. These are really great for that. So that's kind of the whatever behind the buttons. Not that it has to be a nursing friendly dress, it doesn't, but it just works great. So yeah, I'm gonna get ready to cut this out. I'll show you a close-up real quick before I start cutting, and then yeah, I guess we're just gonna get going. Alrighty, so here's kind of what it looks like laid out. I have the fold right here, and I think I have 3 yards of fabric, but I really only need 2.5, so I have extra in case I need. I'm just gonna use these knives as weights, that way my pattern doesn't move around. And then when I cut this out, it should be like a full front skirt or full half skirt, whatever you want to call it. And then I will use this material up here to do the sleeves and the bodice, like the back and front of the top, or like the shirt part, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so here I'm about to cut out the sleeve, and this is still laying on folded fabric. If you can see, here's where I cut out the skirt part, so I'm really trying to maximize my fabric if possible. But since this is laying on folded, this is going to create 2 sleeves. So I'm not gonna have to cut out any more. So after I cut out the sleeve, I'm gonna move right over here and cut out the right side of the bodice. And it's gonna be like this because the buttons are gonna go here. So I'm gonna fold this extra tab down, and I'm gonna get 2 cutouts because, like I said, it is gonna be a double lined bodice. Sorry, my brain shut down for a second. And then once I have this cut out, I'm just gonna fold this back and bring this over here, and then cut out the left side, which will not have that extra tab on it. Okay, so I'm getting ready to sew now. It's actually the next day, and here I have laid out the back part of the bodice, and they're the exact same. I just have them laying one side up, one side down. But anyways, so the first thing that I'm going to do, actually, hold on one second, guys. All right, I'm hoping I can talk now and do this at the same time. I set you guys up on my tripod, but anyways, I'm just gonna take the front pieces of my bodice now, and I feel like I'm a little bit out of sorts, but and I'm gonna just match up the shoulder seams. And then basically I'm just going to sew these two shoulder seams together. I'm going to do the same on the inside of the bodice as well over here with these. And that's how I'm going to start for, yeah, sewing my dress. That's the first thing I'm going to do. Okay, so now that I got these shoulder seams sewn together, you can kind of see here what it is looking like. It's just super basic. This one is the same thing, but like I said, I'm doing a double bodice, so these are going to be, yeah, connected. Sorry, my brain is shutting down this morning. So anyways, what I'm going to do next is I am going to pair these, well actually I'm going to iron down the shoulder seams first. And then I'll be back. I'm going to pair these together, and I'm going to connect right here. So this is where the buttons and the buttonholes are going to go in the front. I'm going to connect these two sides with a seam right here and right here. Okay, so as you can see here, my shoulder seams are ironed down, and I sewed right here and here where the buttons and the buttonhole is going to go. And I'm still kind of working with what is the best settings to sew this material on. This is like a very soft, stretchy knit. And so depending, yeah, the tension and the stitch length, all those kind of things make a difference in what your seam looks like. And so as you can see, the one side, let me lay it down for you guys. This one side right here looks a lot better than what this side does. So I'm kind of just playing with the settings to see what gives me the best stitch or what seam. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up these shoulder seams here, and I'm going to sew all the way around the neck. And I'm going to pin this before I sew it because this fabric is such a lightweight knit. It's very soft and it's going to be super great for fall. But because it's so lightweight, I like to go a little extra pin happy to make sure that everything lines up, because this fabric is also really hard to rip seams out of, and you have a tendency to easily rip the fabric. So I'm just going to pin around here, and then I'm going to sew around here, and I will come back and show you guys when it's all done. So I just sewed the neck in. I'm dropping things. I didn't film a bunch of me sewing. I haven't filmed me sewing everything just because sewing is sewing and I don't really do anything fancy. You just put it under and sew a seam. I don't know how else to explain it. So anyways, here we go. We got the neck, and as you can see, I gave it a pretty large seam allowance. But that's because for this pattern, the neck is a little more snug than what I prefer, and I don't want to quite cut the pattern bigger yet, just because it's easier to sew something small and make it bigger when it's a neck. Okay, not a whole dress. When it's a neck, than it is to sew it too big or cut it too big. You can't get that material back then. So what I'm basically gonna do is I am going to just fit it around my neck and pin the front to see if that's where I would like it. And then I am going to use, I don't know if it's called a top stitch or what it's called, but basically it's gonna hold this extra neckline material. It's gonna attach that down. Okay, if I can show you like this. It's basically gonna attach this down to the inside layer of my bodice, but you're not gonna see that seam on the outside. So I'll show you how I do it in just a second. It's really simple. I'm explaining it a lot more complicated than what it is. So if you're a seamstress, you probably know what I'm talking about already. But yeah, I'll show you as soon as I try this on and make sure that this is the desired, what's the word? That this is the fit that I prefer. Okay guys, so I have this turned right side out. It's not ironed, so it's laying a bit funky. Once it's ironed, it'll lay a bit better. So let me show you real quick what I'm meaning that I'm gonna do with the neckline. So this is how it's gonna lay. Okay, I'm hoping you can see kind of closer what I'm doing now. So I'm gonna go underneath this fabric and I'm gonna grab these pieces right here, and I'm gonna stitch them down with a small seam right like this to this bottom layer. So these will lay really nice, just flat against the bottom, and they're not gonna bulk up at all in my neck here in the bodice. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see what I'm trying to show you all here, but now you can see that I sewed this second seam right here to help the neckline or the neck, this extra material, whatever, lay down flat against the lining of the bodice. I'm gonna take a scissors now and I am just going to snip. Sorry, Zendaya's here with me. I'm gonna snip every so often in this neckline just to help it stretch and lay better. I'm not exactly sure if some people may do this before they do that second seam. I don't know. But I'm doing it afterwards. I think it works just the same. Just helps your neckline to lay nice and flat. After I have this all snipped, then I am just going to iron this neckline flat and turn everything right side out. Okay, so I have this all ironed out now, and I'll probably still have to do a little bit of ironing, but the next thing to do is to just put the sleeves in. So I'm gonna take the sleeve, and I made these little cuts in it. There's one here, and obviously there's one on the other sleeve, and they are just to show me where the front of the sleeve is, because I believe the way that my pattern is made, I have a little bit of extra room here in the back of the sleeve for when you bring your arms around front. So anyways, I'm just going to pair this up, just match the sides and pair it up, pin it on, and then just sew it, because this is now the underside of the bodice. And so yeah, I'm just gonna pair this up and pin it on, and then just go ahead and sew the sleeve on this side and do the same then for the other side as well. Okay, so I have the sleeves sewn in. They're not sewn together at the bottom, but they're sewn in here, as you can see, and I actually forgot to hem them before sewing them in, which was such a silly thing. So I stopped real quick and quick hemmed the sleeves there, so that's done as well. And yeah, the other side is done the exact same. Yeah, have the sleeves sewed in. So I'm soon needing to take a break for lunch, but before I do, I'm gonna work a little bit on the skirt. Here is one half of the skirt, so it's either gonna be for the front or for the back. And what I'm about to do is I'm gonna sew a gathering stitch in the skirt. So this is the top, and obviously this is much larger than half of my waist. So I'm just going to sew a straight seam all the way across, and I'm going to use the one thread and pull it to kind of just gather this a little bit. That way I kind of get some small gathers in my skirt. So I'm going to go ahead and sew that, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like. Okay, so now that this is just sewn in, this gathering seam or whatever, and you can rip this out later once this is attached to your bodice, I'm just going to take the one thread, whichever one pulls the easiest. I don't know which one that'll be. And I'm just going to go like this and literally just gather it. It's like the simplest thing. yeah, so there you can see I'm gathering it up, and I don't want it to be that tight, so I'm just gonna work the gathers down across the skirt until I have it about the same length as what it needs to be to attach to the front or the back of my bodice. Alright, so I ate lunch and I'm back to finish this project, and I'm just gonna lay this out for you guys so you can kind of see what I have done and what it looks like. It shouldn't take me too long to finish it, minus doing like the buttonholes, that sort of thing. So here we have the bodice part. The sleeves are sewn in. Let me just lay it in a way that actually will make sense. Alright, so hopefully here you can kind of see what's going on. It has the bodice part with the part for the buttons, and what I'm just gonna do is I have this skirt part that I kind of just pulled so it has like some light gathers in it, and I'm just going to be attaching this to the front here. I'm going to be attaching the second one then to the back, and I don't have any of the side seams done, but I'm going to wait and do those last. So right now I'm just going to sit down and just attach this skirt to the bodice, the front skirt and the back skirt. To do is to basically just sew a ginormous seam like all the way down the side. After that I just need to hem the dress, which I'll do, and then I have to do the buttons and the buttonholes. And while I'm talking to you guys, I might as well explain it all now. The buttonholes, I have a attachment that goes right here on my machine, but I don't think I'm going to use it with knits. At least the last knit dress I sewed, it was even a heavier knit than this, and for some reason the machine wanted to get caught up, and it was just tricky. I spent a very long time trying to rip out the matted, messed up thread from when it was trying to put in the buttonhole for me. I think it's because the material is knit and it stretches weird or catches if the machine is just let to do the buttonhole by itself. So I'm gonna change some settings on my machine and just manually do the buttonhole on my machine. I will show you guys kind of what I'm changing. I actually looked this up in a video, so if you guys are ever sewing and you have issues sewing, or you can't find something, you're a little bit more of a beginner, you're not sure how to sew a certain something, Google it or YouTube it. That is literally my lifesaver when I'm sewing. I'm going to turn this dress inside out, match up the seams, sew them, sew the hem, and then I'll catch up with you guys when I'm ready to do the buttons and the buttonhole. So I have everything done but the buttons, and you'll have to excuse the very loud air conditioner in the background, just the way it is. I have the bottom, I hemmed, yeah, everything is done except for the buttons, and I fit it on to make sure it fits. So what I'm about to do is I'm going to place my buttons. These are the buttons I have. They're like a faux wood. They're not actually wood. Let me see if it'll focus. There we go. Kind of like a faux wood button, and I have 6 of them, but I will probably only use 5, something like that. Anyways, so I'm just going to place them for a general idea, and then I'm going to mark the width of them with a pen, and then I will draw a line for how long it is, and I will use that as a guide when I make my buttonholes. So I'm going to make the buttonholes first. They're going to go on top, and then once the buttonholes are made, I'm going to open them up and line them up to sew the buttons on by hand. Okay, so here you can see I have my marks for my buttonholes, and it's just a pen that I drew on the fabric with. I didn't make these quite as big as what this actual button is, if you can see that. Sorry, hold on. There. I think now you can see it. They're a little narrower because if I make the buttonhole exactly as big as the button, it is going to be a really large buttonhole. I found that out with some of my other dresses. If you make it as big or as wide as the entire length of the buttonhole almost gets too big. So I'm going to switch the settings on my machine and then start sewing buttonholes. Okay, so I've done several practice buttonholes and only one of them has turned out so far, but I'm just gonna try it, and honestly I'm just gonna hope for the best. I know that's kind of a risky thing to do, especially with buttonholes, but this material, like I said, is a very soft, thin knit, and it is just bunching up in my machine, so I'm just gonna try it, and if I sense a problem, I'm gonna stop. I will try to remember to link the video below that I'm using for to get the settings for my machine and everything. So if you want to do this same thing, you can go down and watch that video. That way I don't re-explain everything that she already said, because she explains it super great. Okay, so it's quite a while later and I finished my buttonholes, but wow, they were hard. So they are definitely not perfect. As you can see, they pull the material a little bit, but I think once they're cut, they're gonna look fine. They're gonna have buttons in them anyways, so that's a plus. This material I do not recommend to do buttons on, but it is so soft, and yeah, it's gonna be fine. But wow, it was definitely difficult. My machine kept kind of getting stuck because it kept pulling the material. I'm still kind of checking them over. The back looks really rough, but you're not gonna see that, so that doesn't matter. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and cut these open. Okay, so now that I have all these opened, I am just going to kind of spread my dress out here on the table, and I'm gonna line up this center section. Yeah, these buttonholes are just a bit rough, but it'll be fine. And then I'm just gonna mark where my buttons go. So I finished the dress, guys. As you can see, it is done. There's a couple things I'm not really happy with, but it is the second dress I've ever sewn, so I'm kind of gonna give myself some grace there. This button wants to fall down, and it's because the weight of the fabric. It's very lightweight fabric, and even with a double lined bodice, I'm still getting some lines showing through that I don't care for. And also, another thing that I'm not a great fan of is the waist is a little bit big, if you can see that, but I'm not using a stretch thread, and because this dress has to go over my head, I need something that is like the width of my shoulders, so I can't really take it in without not being able to get the dress on. So there's a couple things that, I don't know, maybe I'll work on them or figure out a way to change them, but it's okay. I really liked this fabric, and because it's a very lightweight knit, some of those things just come along with the fabric that you're working with. So I hope you guys enjoyed coming along with me the past couple days as I've worked on this project. It definitely has been a project, but I'm glad to have it done, and it's fun to have another dress in my closet. Maybe this gave you some inspiration for a new project you could try or something like that. Alright guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here. Thanks so much for spending the past 2 days with me. Also, don't forget to go down to the description box and check out Dossier. If you're looking for an inexpensive perfume, you can use my discount code to get a discount on that as well. Okay guys, I will see you next week in my next video. Bye for now.